I know that Gwinnett County, of all counties, certainly know that our country is not great in spite of its diversity. Our country is great precisely because of its diversity. And it is that emerging American demographic that is diverse, that is forward-looking, that is inclusive. It is that hope and that promise that we saw this past summer in the wake of the tragic flashpoints.
Hey, they said that he was supposed to be speaking at 11:45, but he jumped up speaking now. So I'm streaming directly to YouTube, okay?
And Rayshard Brooks, cool. Whose eulogy I preached.
Okay, all right, bye.
And Ahmaud Arbery. And Sandra Bland. And Botham Jean. And Tatiana Jefferson. Too many human beings turned into hashtags. But the hope is this: in the wake of those tragic flashpoints, we saw a multiracial, multi-generational coalition of conscience pour out into American streets, not only to stand up for them, but to reaffirm our commitment and our covenant that we have together as an American people, equal protection under the law. You stood up and you pushed back against the forces of bigotry and xenophobia that are trying even now to divide us. And you said we believe in the American covenant. E pluribus unum. Out of many. One. One state. One nation. One people. And given all the big problems that are confronting us, we have to stand together. And so I don't know about you, I was inspired this summer because there we were fighting a virus, COVID-19. And we were doing the best we could, fighting this virus as citizens, while politicians who are supposed to be representing us were busy playing games. When Kelly Leffler heard about COVID-19, rather than focusing on the folk in Georgia who were at home sheltering in, she was busy sheltering her investments, profiting off of a pandemic, all the while playing it down, telling us that there was nothing to worry about. I mean, think about what you would have done if you had known what she knew back in January. What would you have done in order to protect your neighbors? Played it down for us, dumped millions of dollars of stock, profited from a pandemic. Who does that? I'm sorry, I'm a boy who grew up in the hood where I'm from. They say, where did they do that at? Profit off of a pandemic. And so there we were trying to push our way through this deadly season, dealing with COVID-19. We still have a whole lot of work to do there. But then we saw the tragic flashpoints of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and so many others. And we saw this vast sea of humanity, multiracial, multi-generational, mask up against one virus, COVID-19, in order to do battle against another age-old virus, COVID-19. Our ongoing struggle against racism and bigotry in this country. And you stood up and you said, we are better than that. And I submit to you that we've got to take that same energy, that same commitment, that same conviction, that same passion, and stand up once again and help people to know that this is the new Georgia. We are turning the old Southern strategy that sought to divide people on its head, because we understand well, that's the work that we have to do. If you think this is just a campaign, you really don't get it. We need more than a campaign. We need a movement. We need a movement that pushes us to the polls and then past the polls in order to hold those who are elected, even me, once I'm elected, accountable. Hold the folk you elect accountable. This democracy does not belong to the politicians, it belongs to the people. It is a government, as Lincoln said, by and of and for the people. Whenever there is disrepair, whenever there are big problems, whenever there is brokenness, it is the people who must repair it. We the people. Who are we? We are those who work hard every day, but can barely get by. We the people. We who work hard because we have heart, but we don't have health care. 500,000 Georgians in the Medicaid gap. We the people. We who they call essential workers, but don't make an essential wage. You ought to pay essential workers an essential wage, provide for them essential benefits. We the people. We who make others rich, but we can barely afford the rent. We the people. We whose children's schools are broken because our politics are broken and our system is broken, and we the people are the only ones who can fix it, who can straighten it out. And we the people are going to rise up come January 5th and remind the politicians that this is our democracy. And so I hear somebody say, Brad, what do you mean the politician? Aren't you running for office? Yes, I am. But I'm running for office as a continuation of my lifelong commitment to service. I'm not talking about health care because I'm running for office. I'm talking about health care because I actually believe that health care is a human right. And it is certainly something that the richest nation on the planet can and ought to provide to all of its citizens. So when we were trying to pass the Affordable Care Act, I was preaching about it from my pulpit. And I was saying that we ought to pass health care. It's a moral issue. We can't be the richest nation on the planet and that many people without health care. We can't do it. It's untenable. It's immoral. And it is impractical. So we passed the Affordable Care Act, and then there were those who didn't want to see it happen. And so the politicians were busy fighting one another.
Picking it up.
There's an African proverb that says, when the elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. So because some were wanting to play political games, they decided, well, we're not going to expand Medicaid in Georgia. We're not going to cooperate with Obamacare as if that was going to hurt Obama. So we refused to expand Medicaid. At least those who are supposed to be representing us at the state level refused to expand Medicaid. And so I went to the governor's office. I wasn't running for anything. And I said, Mr. Governor, you must expand Medicaid. We had a sit-in in the governor's office back in 2014. And I said, you must expand Medicaid. We began to sit there, and I was holding a sign with a quote from Dr. King that said, of all the injustices, inequality in healthcare is the most shocking and the most inhumane. The Capitol Police arrived, and they said, you got to clear the space. When the Capitol Police got there, I want to be clear, I wasn't mad at them, not one bit. They're good state employees. They were there doing their job, and I was there doing my job. They said, if you don't clear the governor's office, Reverend, we'll have to take you away. And so they said, we'll have to arrest you that day. And what they didn't understand is that I had already been arrested. My conscience and my imagination had been arrested by this idea that if my neighbor is uncovered, then I'm unprotected. I had been arrested by this idea that we had tied in a single garment of destiny. So they carted us away that day. Then in 2017, when the Congress was busy giving a $2 trillion tax giveaway to the richest of the rich, while taking resources away from the poorest of the poor, I went to the United States Capitol. I wasn't running for anything. I was just doing the work that I feel called to do. And so, because I had not been elected a United States Senator yet, I couldn't make my argument that day on the floor of the Senate. I had to make it in the rotunda of the Capitol. We began to say, as they were passing that budget, that a budget is not just a fiscal document, it's a moral document. Show me a nation's budget and I'll show you your values. A budget tells me who you think matters and who doesn't matter. So we began to sing and pray in the Capitol. We were Christian, we were Buddhists, we were Jewish, we were Muslims, we were all there. We were people necessarily who didn't necessarily have a faith tradition, but people of moral courage. Capitol Police came again. I wasn't mad at them. They were there doing their job. And I was there doing mine. And they carted us away that day. And that's all right. Because in just a few short weeks, I got a feeling that I might bump into those Capitol Police officers. This time they won't be taking me to central booking. They can take me to my new office. They can help me find my new office as one of the next 2 United States Senators from the great state of Georgia. We can translate our agitation into legislation. Our protests into public policy. I've been shaking it up for a while on the outside. Now I'm going to step on the inside because ours is a representative democracy. We have too many politicians who are professional politicians and they're so focused on the next election, they're not thinking about the next generation. That's why they won't do anything on climate change. We need somebody who's thinking about the next generation. And so I'm ready to do the work. Are you ready? And so get ready now, because we're in the final week. And as politics goes, it's probably going to get pretty ugly. I'm trying to have a principled conversation about the things that matter. Unfortunately, I'm running against somebody who is trying to reduce this race to schoolyard insults. Calling me names. Look, I got over that in middle school. My mama said it's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. Insulting your intelligence. As if a label and a name is an analysis of where we are and what we need to do. You're smarter than that. You got more insight than that. You can see through that because you know what your neighbors are going through as they've been waiting for months for COVID-19 relief and have not seen any in months. Then when came time to help ordinary folk and give them $600 in unemployment insurance, Kelly Loeffler said she saw, quote, no need, that it was counterproductive. I guess it wasn't counterproductive to profit off of a pandemic.
All right.
So they can call me whatever they want to call me. Here's what I believe. I believe that in the richest nation on the planet, people ought to have access to affordable health care. I believe that people who work hard ought to get a livable wage. I believe that essential workers ought to have essential benefits. I believe that seniors shouldn't have to choose between buying food and buying prescription drugs.
All right, need y'all to hit the like button. Hit the like button.
And I believe that when the people stand up in an election and the people have spoken, you ought to accept the people's verdict. So, in this defining moment, the whole nation's eyes are on Georgia. Georgia's on everybody's mind. Georgia, it's your turn to show up. Show them what you're made of. Are you ready?
Ready to go.
You know, I'm a son of this state. And I don't say that out of any kind of chauvinistic way because, you know, folk here from everywhere, and that's fine. But I happen to be born and raised in Georgia. I grew up in public housing. One of 12 children in my family. My folks read the Bible, clearly that verse that says, be fruitful and multiply. I'm number 11 out of 12. My family was short on money, but long on faith. My parents are both preachers. It felt like even when we weren't in school, even when we weren't in church, it felt like they were always talking to me with the authority of God, speaking to me in King James English. My mama would say, thou shalt wash the dishes. Let's not smite me with my rod and my staff. They believed in working hard. My mama's from way across Georgia. Way across Georgia. She grew up in the 1950s, and like a lot of black teenagers in those times, she spent her summers picking somebody else's cotton, somebody else's tobacco. But because this is America, because we keep perfecting that union, because we keep bending that arc toward justice. Last week, the 82-year-old hands that used to pick somebody else's cotton got to pick her youngest son to be a United States Senator. I defy anybody who wants to challenge my patriotism. I love America because only in America is my story even possible. Now the kid who grew up in public housing is running against the wealthiest member of the Congress. So my mom believed in working hard, and my dad really believed in working hard. God bless his memory. He used to wake me up every morning, 6 o'clock. Didn't matter what day of the week.